Hey, lick my plate, you dog!
Those things is dangerous. You're liable to get hurt.
Let me ask you one question. Are you having fun? Because I promise you, you and I are going to have some fun.
Oh, no. Show me what I fear, so I don't fear it no more.
And get that thing off my cutting board.
Welcome back, one and all. Welcome back to the Dreadcast. This is the final episode, 50th birthday celebration spectacular.
Please.
Sorry to get it right. Spooktacular of the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And we have covered, I say we, this is myself, Tom, and the lovely Judas over here.
Hello.
Aidan. It just looks so similar when you spell it out.
You bastard.
I will cover that joke in a second. It's just something that needs to be brought up. We've covered the 2017 Leatherface. Awful film.
So you don't have to.
So you do not have to. Do go. Actually, you do kind of have to go watch the film and then go back and listen to this episode right here on it. We then moved on to Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in 2003. Solid remake. Go check that episode out right here. And then as last week, as I'm sure you're all aware, you all checked it out. Leatherface, space, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I mean,
yes.
the titling couldn't be simpler.
Snap
It couldn't be simpler. And of course, the film we're checking out today, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I always have to say 74.
Yeah.
To a lot of people, I have to say 74 because
a ridge.
a lot of normies, a lot of basic normies out there, you know,
With a velvet.
with your crushed
velvet grey sofas and live, love on the walls and your turkey teeth and your RTV2.
And your pocket watch tattoo with an angel or something or a bird on your arm. You know who you are. All you lot that listen to this podcast.
They're not listening to this podcast.
They're all listening to it in their financed Range Rover. Where was I going with that? The rag kind of took over. Yes, them lot out there always, I feel like, think of the remake more.
Yeah.
But no, it is, in my opinion, as you can see here, video viewers, the perfect horror film. My favourite, my numero uno, number one horror film of all time. I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it's my opinion. As to the gentleman over here, he is quite a little fan of The Wicker Man.
I am quite a little fan of The Wicker Man.
That is his number one. But I do remember this is in your top 5.
Yeah. I'm just looking actually at I'm just going to have a click around at various lists because I think this does generally do top 10, if not top 5 on those.
Well, you say that. It was Variety's number 1, I believe, last week or the week before. But when you look at that awful list that went around not long ago, official scientists had concluded the scariest movies, not the best horror, the scariest movies. This wasn't even in the top 20. I mean,
I'm looking at the Rotten Tomatoes 200 best horror movies of all time, and I am at 37 and haven't seen it yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me get. Is Conjuring, is Insidious ahead of it? Is Sinister ahead of it? Is Hereditary ahead of it?
Number 1 is Jaws, which is a curveball way out of left field to use metaphor.
I'm not a fan of Jaws, but I do accept it as a horror film.
I like it. I can accept it as a horror film, but yeah, no. 2 is Let the Right One In. 3 is Alien. 4 is Get Out. 5 is Psycho.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here's my take. Get Out. Any Jordan Peele films overrated?
7. Have a guess what? 6 is Silence of the Lambs. Guess what number 7 is? You will never guess this in a million years.
Never get it. I will never. Can you give me one clue?
It's a zombie movie.
Shaun of the Dead.
No.
Oh, okay.
It is an Of the Dead movie.
Aren't they all? It's not going to be Night of. It's not going to be Day.
This is
In
number
fact, it's
7
it's not a
in the
Romero
200
film.
best horror films of all time, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not a Romero film, and it won't be Return. So that means it could only be Zack Snyder's. No, not.
It is One Cut of the Dead.
Better than this. Better than this.
Better than
Halloween.
Better than
Halloween.
King Kong. Better than Aliens. Better than Halloween.
Better than The Exorcist.
3 places above Halloween. I mean, I've not seen.
Keep going.
I haven't seen The Exorcist yet. Let's see where The Exorcist is. Babadook is 21. Late Night with the Devil is at 25. Still not seen Exorcist. Night of the Living Dead is 29. Not seen Chainsaw Massacre either. This is the worst list I have ever seen in my life.
Is it based on critics or audience scores?
I think it's based on audience scores.
Because I believe if it's based on audience scores.
Yeah. Anyway, that was that list. Empire's 50 best horror movies. Let's see what they say.
These
They've
people need to
done the list in reverse order just to make things difficult.
Oh, that's because you then got to go through all their pages to gain more traffic.
Well,
Very clever.
Shining, Alien, Halloween, The Thing, Scream. Exorcist is 7. Jaws is 8.
See,
Wicker Man is number 10.
He's happy now. So far, like I might not agree with that, but I can understand that top 10 list.
TCM is 19.
Yeah, now that I can't agree with.
Yeah, I don't think it should.
But
be
the top 10 is still just got the films that fit around there. I'd say, rather than the Rotten Tomatoes ones. These lists are all subjective. It's always
of course they are. Of course they are. But I mean, I feel it does. It's made the top 10 in a couple of other lists that I can see there, and I feel that's right. It's number 3 on Time Out's 100 best horror movies from this year. Exorcist, Shining, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I feel like that's a pretty solid top 3.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I mean, it will never compare to 20 movies according to science that are the scariest films ever made. And this is the one that really got me. I'm going to start. I can't see 20 because it's a screenshot. 19, Insidious 2.
No. What? No. Shut up.
18. Now, these films with the titles The Something Of, I as soon as I see a film that's titled that, I kind of just walk away. The Autopsy of Jane Doe, when it's like the possession or the exorcism.
The Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's a good film, actually.
It is a good film.
It's the best one.
We've watched like 3 Harry Potter movies this week at work.
Giving it about a month. Christmas is the Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings season.
Yeah.
17, Quiet Place 2.
I mean, I do kind of want to watch those movies at some point. I haven't done yet.
Same.
Seen a lot of gameplay footage for the new game as well at the minute.
There's a game.
Yeah, there's a game. I guess it's very much in the vein of Alien Isolation, sneaking around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Being quiet.
Being super quiet. Then we got Babadook, Paranormal Activity. Now, I can understand Paranormal Activity being a movie, not best horror, but scary. Because, as I think I've said before, paranormal stuff doesn't really do it for me. But there was something about that film because of how gritty and real it feels.
Yeah, that was great. It was really
super great.
It freshened the genre or the subgenre or whatever of like horror, paranormal, ghost movies, whatever. It was, it did something different. They, wasted. They went too far with the sequels, but the original. Oh god,
you got to bastardize the franchise. Mm-hmm. You got to. I mean, look.
Yes.
Then we got The Descent, which, in my opinion, probably holds the top spot in this whole list, but it's number 14. I think The Descent has some great scares in it. The Dark and the Wicked. I don't know about that.
The name rings a bell. I don't know if I've seen that. The Dark and the Wicked. Oh, I have. Oh, yes, I have seen this. That was really boring.
Yeah. We then go to It Follows. It's a great horror film, but not scary. The Conjuring 2. Hell House LLC. No, Talk to Me. I
You've talked to me about that one.
I've told you. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I believe that's the film about the exorcism that happened in Enfield back in the day in London.
Yes, it's
again,
based on that one.
It's the exorcism of. It's a apparent the possession of. I can't bring myself to be interested in it. 7 Smile. 6 Hereditary, because everyone loves Hereditary. It's everyone's favourite film. Into the top 5 now. At 5, The Conjuring. 4.
Oh,
Insidious.
We've got both. We've got the other Conjuring movie
yeah.
in there. Oh, good.
And at 4, we've got Insidious. So we've got the other Insidious. At 3, here we go. At 3, this is the 3rd scariest movie ever, according to scientists. And let's just ask this scientist.
It's official.
Skinamarink.
I've still not watched it, and
You don't need to watch it.
I know, but I will do at some point. I feel like I have to at some point just to see it for myself.
Actually, okay, fine. I want to hear your thoughts on it because, hey, if you want another Outwaters, be my guest.
I mean, that's kind of that's why I'm not rushing to watch it. But
speaking of Outwaters, number 2. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Fuck me.
No, number 2 is Host, which I liked. Host was great.
Is that Japanese?
No, that you're thinking of The Host, which is a Korean monster film.
Oh.
Host was a 60-minute long Zoom film from COVID era.
I like that. Yeah, I
Great.
did like that one. That was good.
And number 1, Sinister. But I think that the
Mick from Slipknot.
Mick from Slipknot.
Yeah, the creature, the ghost or whatever in Sinister.
Oh, yeah, it does look a little bit like him. Yeah, Mick Gordon does Doom. 7 from Slipknot. Yeah, Mick 7. I can't remember the ghoul's name. That film is so
John
dumb
Gould.
at the end. That film has got the cheap jump scare right at the end where it goes, "Ah." Anyway, Sinister, scariest film ever made, apparently.
No.
Couple of things just before we get into today's film. Yes, just want to anyone out there who's still listening, love you all. The show will continue because I haven't got much else going on in life. So
The show must go on.
the show must go on. We're at episode 96 right now. We will be getting to the 100, the century episode in about 4 to 5 weeks, so around Christmas time. We may spread it out. Probably may spread it out just because you've got a busy life yourself. So maybe we could do one every 2 weeks. We'll get to 100 at the end of the year. Once we have gotten to 100, the show will be taking a little break for about a month. Maybe come back around end of January, beginning of February. But unfortunately, and it's sad to say, it will be me and possibly someone else. Our lovely co-host here, Mr. Aidan, half Jude Troll, has decided to step away. Much like Jerry Halliwell left the Spice Girls.
Yes.
Much like Gary Barlow took his ball and ran. It was Gary, wasn't it? Or did Robbie go?
No, it was Robbie that went.
Was it Robbie?
I'm going to start a 90s pop music.
No, you're right.
podcast.
You're right.
It was Robbie Williams that left first.
It was Robbie, because I remember my sister, who's 9 years older than me, telling me that girls in her school were breaking down crying and had to go home when that happened. So, folks, hold your tears.
Hold your tears. Don't cry
Seek
for
a
me.
family member
Podcast land.
and hug them, okay? But yes, at the 100th episode will be Mr. Aidan Halfshoulder's last episode.
Yeah.
And it will be great. And it's been great. I've had a ball the last couple of years. He's moving on to his other podcast that we discussed that he wanted to start. What was it? What were the other ones? Oh, like his soap opera, Brookside podcast.
Podcast.
I'll put the link in the next few video descriptions where you'll be able to find that. So don't worry, you'll still find him in the future. But yes, his tenure on the Dreadcast will be coming to the end of the year, and it's sad. I know we're all sad, but I think it fits. It does fit perfectly. If you wanted to move on, a nice solid 100 episodes. Yeah. End of the year, we go off with a bang. Beautiful. But the show will still be here. Once this guy's pissed off, we'll carry on without him. We don't need him. I don't need you.
I mean, you don't.
Don't need you for
that's
nothing.
That's fair.
No, I've had a blast. I've had a ball. And
I mean, me too, man. But yeah.
It's all good.
It's been swell, but the swelling's gone down, as Tank Girl once said.
So get ready for some half-assed phoning it in reviews coming up for the end of the year. Just watching the clock,
seeing out the contract.
Yeah, we can't let him go just yet. He's got to get his days in on the contract. But that's what's happening right now. So now we've got the unpleasantness out of the way.
Yeah.
I think I talked to you about it off camera, but I've been catching up on some backlog films. Watched Revenge.
Revenge.
Yes.
Revenge.
The feature film from the director of The Substance. It's only 2 films. It is so good.
It's brilliant.
It is possibly
really,
my
really good.
favorite, and I don't like using this as a category, my favorite rape revenge horror film. But it is!
I mean, yeah.
It is!
It's very much in the vein of I Spit on Your Grave.
That is a subcategory, really.
Films of that ilk.
It isn't a subcategory, but it is there. Everything about it, the production, the locations they use, the shots, the gore, the effects.
That everybody is completely blood slicked by the end of it. That
just
sort of
slipping around.
It's
like a slip and slide of blood. It's superb. I loved it.
I really enjoyed it as well.
I like that you. I like that you don't see that as much. You don't see the sexual assault. I mean, I shouldn't have to say that. I shouldn't have to say, "Oh, I didn't see enough of it," but I'm glad.
Yeah.
Just get that out the way, and then we'll focus on the revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. So she's 2 for 2. I still can't pronounce her name.
The actress or the director?
No, the director. So I should have had.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it was the same director as Coralie Fargeet.
I'm glad you tried because I struggled.
So I didn't realize she directed The Substance as well. So I'm looking forward to checking that out because I did really like Revenge. My reason for watching Revenge is Matilda Lutz, the main protagonist in that, is playing Red Sonja. A movie that
there
is
we go.
Still in production. I don't know exactly what's happening to that, but I think they've filmed it. I think should be in post production now. But yes, she's playing the lead in the long awaited Red Sonja movie.
How long has that been in production for then?
I mean, a long time. I don't know. It's probably not even the same thing. But do you remember there was a teaser poster for Rose McGowan? I think for a Red Sonja movie back in when was it? Back in the early 2000s, I think.
No, I can't say I do.
Yeah, I mean they released this teaser poster for it. And the film just never materialized. And then, I don't know. Various scripts and rewrites and stuff, and the project was all but dead. And as I say, this new one, I don't know if is even related to the original suggestion. But yeah, it is a lot further along in production. And yeah, Matilda Lutz from Revenge is playing Sonja. So I was like, I'll check out this Revenge film, see what she's like. And it was excellent. I was really, really impressed with that one.
I think the one thing I would have liked is she she clearly, I would say, has some experience with hunting, being out in the wild, survival instincts in a way. It comes across very clear with her character. I would have liked a little bit of backstory as to how she knew what to do. No one can, if you've never used one, and I haven't, can just pick up it was like a long range shotgun with scope and just know how to use it. So I would have liked a little bit of backstory behind that, but that's nitpicking. Highly recommend Revenge. It's fantastic. It's on Prime, so if you do have that, you can actually watch it on the service.
Yeah.
The other film I can't recommend, but at the same time, you know where I'm going with this, is great. Eden Lake. I caught up finally watching Eden Lake. Oh, wow. That's a film. That's a film that when we talk about films that we love that are grounded in reality, that's truly grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And I think the best way as well I described it is that if this was an American film set in America, I wouldn't have felt so tense or anxious about it. But the fact it's set in England with pretty much all the antagonist evil characters in that film, we know, we have met people like that. We have interacted with people like that.
Is those little,
Those
the little
shits, the little
hanging around the
teenagers.
bus station, and
Yeah. And we've all interacted with them. And this film just goes to show that, this could happen. Really could happen.
Yeah.
And that's the most terrifying bit about it.
Yeah,
it's a
it
superb
could.
film.
I think it was very much. I mean, not that it's kind of a timeless story. I think, but I think at the time when it came out, which was like 2008, was when there was a big thing about hoodies in the news, and there was a lot of stories in the news about sort of feral teenagers attacking people and things like that. So it was very much of its time, and it's the cast is great. A lot of
Cast is fantastic.
A lot of very talented actors.
Jack O'Connell, I'm sure he's a lovely guy in real life, but I really just don't like him. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this, Jack O'Connell. I'm sure you are, but you played an arsehole in Skins as well.
Yeah.
And I really didn't like you in that. But
yeah.
You play that character very well.
He does
very believably well.
Does it well.
It's one of those films like, I can't believe these kids would do this. Like, how they not thinking to themselves that they're just committing murder? They're just going to kill. How are they going to get away with it? So, no, I believe kids would feel like this. They think they're hard enough. They think they can do what they want. And the ending is... The ending is... Yes, I believe these sort of adults would be this brutal, but I don't know if they'd go this far. Where they talk about, we're one as a community. We look after our own. But then the ending being so ambiguous as it is, I don't know they would go as far as they do. I'm trying to be very blunt in case you've never seen In the Lake. Very subtle.
I need to give it a rewatch. I think I've not seen it for a while.
It's one of it's a rewatch, isn't it? That film, yeah. Give it a year, we'll rewatch that.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd go as far, but even so, it's a rough watch. It goes in the same category for me as those the extreme French films.
It's very, I think it's very deserving of the gritty tag.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. That's me then for this week. What I've caught up on apart from this lovely film here. I'm not even going to assume you've caught up on anything because your life has been insane this week.
I have been very, very busy. Very busy. Very busy. Working. I'm working away again at the minute. So we've been out in the sticks, digging holes. And I've watched some Harry Potter films. They've been on TV, so that's
spooky.
I think, we did. I did watch Prisoner of Azkaban, which is possibly the scariest of the franchise. We ran. Funnily enough, actually, we did watch. Now I'm going to cock this up again. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning.
Yes, you said the prequel to the remake.
The prequel to the remake. Which was just it was just randomly on, and obviously following fairly hot on the heels of watching the remake for the episode we did. So I was like, oh great, yeah, because when I watched it for the pod, I was thinking, oh yeah, I like the prequel as well. I should watch that soon. And then it just happened to be on the other night, so me and a couple of my colleagues sat and watched it. And
it's good.
Yeah, it is. I liked it.
Good.
It's good.
Yeah,
it does a good job giving. I mean, I don't think I need to see. I don't need an origin for Leatherface as such. But it was nice to get sort of a backstory on Sheriff Hoyt and things like that, and a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that because of the fact he's a great character. So it's nice to get it on him at least in the family. Whereas, grand scheme of things, you don't need the prequel. Yeah. Which I thought even more firmly after rewatching said film today, and then you think back to Leatherface, the prequel that we reviewed. The mystery is so much more interesting and horrifying than knowing everything about.
Yeah, exactly. It takes away from that. It detracts from that. Like this is happening. Yeah. That this could just happen to people, and you could suddenly find yourself caught up in. It's like a series of unfortunate events. They pick up a hitchhiker, and he's a bit of a weirdo, and then they think they've got past that, and then they're suddenly stranded in a place, and then it just sort of descends into nightmare from there. And there's little clues to it being a sort of ongoing. They find a bunch of cars under the camo net that suggests that there's been previous victims, and obviously all the furniture and home decor of the house and all the rest of it. And it's better to just keep it as being an unknown. It's I think it goes for horror generally. If you show too much, you tell us too much, you take away from the scare. The mystery, the fear comes from the unknown. The fear comes from your imagination filling in the blanks, and nothing's because what scares you. Like your mind comes up with the scariest possible option.
Yeah, sinister.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that Leatherface is just a really crap film as well. It doesn't help if you're going to tell us a backstory and then just make it really rubbish. That
really is rubbish. It is rubbish. But what is not rubbish, is today's film. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper's perfect horror film from 1974. For the viewers, the video listeners out there, I have obviously done this before, but just a show off of what I have relating to the original film.
Because this is your favorite.
This is my favorite,
isn't it? This is your top of the tree.
I'm super happy now. Even though it's my favorite, we're not going to go for 3 hours. It's still going to be a normal episode length. Don't worry, because I could talk forever on this film. But this is my top of the tree, and every time I watch it, it kind of just reaffirms my decision for that. Everything about it, it's perfect horror film. And here I got this was my first copy. This is my first copy, but it's shit. It's a special edition DVD, but it's all made of cardboard, so it's like squished. It's crap. It's like paper rubbish. Right, look at that. So we got that. We got the NECA figure, we got the Blu-ray, and the lovely. I watched the 4K. That is an incredible 4K scan. It doesn't detract from the fact the film should look gritty and feel like a documentary film. It's a weird one. It's upscaled, but it still has what looks like dust particles and grainy effects, saturations there because you're in the heart of Texas and the heat. It all still feels like a documentary home video, but it's upscale and it's beautiful copy. Can't recommend it enough if anyone wants to get it. It's from Second Sight Films. It was about 40 quid, and it's probably one of the best 4K collector's editions I've got. And then we got the lovely VHSs, the knockoff one from down the pub. I mean, I will. It's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful? And then the lovely. This is the one. I love that cover.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the cover of the original film when I first saw it.
Uh-huh.
You see that, you think, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen in this film? That shot is the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's about that. Oh, and the movie poster downstairs. But you used to have a steelbook, you said. Doesn't have
I
it
do,
ready, folks.
yeah.
Doesn't have it ready. He doesn't care about this anymore. So
I'll quick and go and grab it quickly in the next room. I'll go and run and get it.
Why don't you do that? I'd quite like to see it.
I will.
We'll
Keep
be back,
the
folks.
audience hot for me.
I'll keep them hot.
Yes, so I think this was a random CEX find. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 3-disc, seriously Ultimate Edition.
Wait. It actually says seriously.
It actually does say seriously
Incredible.
Ultimate Edition.
Seriously, we're
It's
serious.
seriously ultimate. The most purely horrifying horror movie ever made. Yeah, nice. 3 discs. I mean, the actual feature disc is still in the player. So I watched it last night. Uncut, restored, remastered. So this one is high def transfer from the 16mm camera originals. Soundtrack upgrades, digitally remastered soundtrack, etc. Full commentary with actors, full commentary with directors and cinematographer. And then discs 2 and 3, there's a bunch of interviews with various cast members and Toby Hooper, and stills, posters, deleted scenes, alternative footage, a couple of featurette documentaries and things like that. So yeah, not a bad little. It wasn't a bad little find, that one. I thought, yeah, I'll go for that again. We've got that nice end of the film. Nice. I mean, that's such an iconic shot, isn't it? If you're taking, like, if you want to take an iconic shot from TCM, it is that. It's a still of Leatherface dancing around at the end, for sure.
It is. I think there was one more shot I would normally use. I don't have a picture of it. It's a still frame of when he's about to hit Kirk with the hammer. Kirk has run into the house, stumbles, and then the camera turns to a shot panning from Leatherface's waist up to his head, and he's got the mallet up.
Yeah.
When you stop at that shot, that's quite an iconic image. I don't think I've got a picture of it here, but yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, like I said, we could talk forever on this film, but we won't. This is in your top 5 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously The Wicker Man was at the top, but do you reckon you've seen this film quite a lot? How many? Multiple times?
I've definitely seen it multiple times. I don't know just how many. It's probably not quite double figures, but it'll be getting up there. I must have seen it 8 or 9 times, somewhere in that region. I didn't. I was watching it last night, and I sat down as usual and got my phone out ready to take notes, and I stopped myself and I thought, I'm not going to bother taking any notes. I'm going to focus on it and just watch it, because I did feel like I don't really need to. I know the story. I know broadly what happens. I wanted to just absorb it and just sort of get into it a little more than maybe we do when we take notes when we're watching films. You're kind of thinking about, what am I going to take notes on? And no, I thought I'm just going to experience it as if I'm watching it for the first time or whatever, and just watch it. And it just sucked me in. I mean, my attention span is terrible these days for watching most things. I'm like, oh, you reach for your phone and
yeah.
But yeah, just hooked. And even again with a film that I've seen multiple times, it's an easy watch, because the pacing's perfect. It's got some real shock value moments. There's, you want to know what's happening. There's things to look for. It was an easy one to sit through again. It doesn't matter. And again, I feel like I could watch it again now, and it wouldn't.
Same.
I wouldn't feel like, oh well, I only watched it last night. You know, I don't think I'd have any issue sitting through it again.
I did the exact same thing. I took 2 notes
Right.
on this film while watching it last night because, like I said, like you just said, I wanted to be in the moment and enjoy my favorite horror film, one of my favorite films of all time. Because there's a lot I knew about this film, and there's a lot I've read about from the book, from this collector's edition. I've been reading up in the book, and I watched some of the special features. The thing is, the special features on here are predominantly the same special features you'll get on the Blu-ray, the DVD. There's only so many documentaries they could have done, you know, that will get passed around. Like one of them that's been on all of these versions is Gunnar Hansen doing a tour of the house, because the house got moved 100 miles along, and it became a restaurant. So there's a quick video tour of Gunnar Hansen walking around. I think it's like mid-2005, walking around the house, just showing like this was where the kitchen was, this was the stairs, this is where Grandpa was. So yeah, I watched it. I took 2 notes, and the notes were only because they were things that happened in the film when I thought to myself, what if that happened? Like, for instance, when they pick up the hitchhiker, the hitchhiker states, you could come to our house. It's just down the road for dinner.
Yeah.
My brother makes a great meal. Like, what if they did take him up on that offer? And they just went, they drove down the house, dropped him off, and all 5 of them went to the house at once. Rather than Leatherface picking them off one by one and having a crisis mode going, these damn kids keep coming into my house.
Where are all these people coming from?
What if all 5 of them walked in and he's just fucking there with his dirty overalls, his dirty skin mask? How would he freak out? Would he pick up a chainsaw and just go for... How would that play out? That's like an alternate reality that could have happened in world, in universe. Interesting,
because when I was watching it, I was focused on again with the hitcher and how that scene ends when he cuts Franklin and they kick him out, and he's chasing after him, he's kicking the van and he's smearing his blood over it. And then later on we get that scene, just after that we get that scene where Franklin's like looking at this blood smearing. He's talking about they've been branded or marked for you know, to be followed or picked up later. And I was thinking about that, and I was watching it with that in mind, thinking, right, okay, is there any evidence for that? That's what that is, because it certainly looks like the blood smears are sort of symbolic.
That's their way to let the others know they're the ones.
But it doesn't come back. There's no comeback to say that, like, you know, it's not like we see a scene of the hitcher going, that's where, you know, that's that van, that's where they are, sort of thing. And the whole sequence of events could have transpired the same way anyway, because they go into the Franklin place, they go into Franklin's grandparents whatchamacallit, house, and
the house,
and looking around anyway, which is obviously just adjacent to the Sawyer's property, and that's how
it's really close, isn't it?
They were neighbors. So we get a little indication that there's some like bone charm things hung up, and there's a little bit of weird sort of, you know, fetishy things going on. So it feels like the Sawyers have sort of encompassed that into their territory, if you will. And it all seems like they would have all ended up at the house anyway had they decided to stop at the Franklin's grandparents' place, which, why wouldn't they? They're in the area, of course they're going to go and have a look. So yeah, it all kind of goes the same way anyway.
It does. They were in theory bound to end up at that house and end up in the way they end up.
Yeah, I mean, you could maybe make the argument that the cook was lying, that they had no gas, keep them there. Because that's the next stop, isn't it? They stop at the gas station, and it's like, oh, we're not having any gas. The tanker's not coming till later on today. You'll have to stick around, come and have some barbecue, and that's how they sort of stay there for a night. Otherwise, they would have just got the gas and otherwise they would have got the gas and gone on their way. I still think they would have gone to Franklin's grandparents' house, and everything probably would have transpired the same way. So yeah, it's. I was trying to see if there was any sort of. it's a theory more than an actual plot point, you know, that they've been branded and all this sort of stuff.
No, I always thought that, but then you can never really find a correlation between the blood brand and them being captured somehow. It doesn't.
I mean, that's not to say that wasn't what it was, but it ultimately becomes irrelevant, and it wasn't.
Oh, completely.
Wasn't needed. I guess wasn't necessary.
I mean, he's clearly insane. He's clearly out of his mind and just did it for fun. As they're driving away, you can see him in the back window, just sticking his tongue out, dancing at them, and but that actually, talking about the gas station, that leads on to my second and final note of our episode today. The gas station attendee never gets talked about.
No, this was the other thing that I was thinking about as well.
Who is he?
There's him. There's also the drunk at the cemetery at the beginning that's like rolling around on the floor. And
I always forget about that beginning scene in the cemetery.
And this is something I picked up on it as well. I picked up on this as well. And obviously everything's overshadowed by Leatherface and meat hooks and chainsaws and all this. But just everybody in that area is a little bit weird one way or another.
Insane. I mean, granted, the guy at the cemetery is clearly pissed.
Yeah.
He's clearly drunk out of his head.
He is. But even some of the other people with non-speaking parts are just a bit insular, shall we say. It's all a bit weird.
I mean, speaking of like community that sticks together, they feel like a community that really sticks together. The gas station attendee, little bald ginger hair guy, just sits there looking at the sun.
Stops to look at the sun periodically, washing windscreens.
There are some great subtle, I want to class it as black comedy, dark comedy moments in this film that are not meant to be implied as comedy, like a comedy joke, but it's, say, when the cook is talking to them in the van, we get the wide shot of the gas station and the van, but this gas station attendee gets up, walks to the windshield, starts cleaning the windshield, and as soon as the cook walks away, he then stops and walks back. But then when the cook walks back, he goes back to he's mirroring the cook wherever he goes. He does it about 3 times. And that's all we get of him. Yeah. That's it.
It is interesting. Like in the remake, obviously, he'd have been explicitly part of the extended family. But in this, because we don't get anything, and he's just, might as well be set dressing as much as an actual character. It does raise some interesting questions about, about that community and about the Sawyer's dynamic with the community at large. Like, does the gas station attendant know that barbecue is more than likely human meat or
not kosher?
Because again, that's not something that's explicitly said.
It's not. It's kind of inferred to later on with Sally.
Yeah.
When she escapes to the gas station and you hear the radio playing in the background about the corpses, about Mo stealing the corpses, and the camera is basically her looking to the grill, looking to the stove, the oven, whatever you want to call it, and there's meat, and you're like, hang on, am I putting 2 and 2 together? Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's never explicitly shown or said.
No.
Until the second film.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it's after you see the house and the state the house is, I think it's more than acceptable to believe that.
Yeah, I think you're definitely leaning that way. I mean, there's bodies being put in freezers. Yeah. And obviously just human body parts or human bones like all over the place. But it could, I mean, obviously this is based on, or the inspiration for this came from Ed Gein.
Mr. Ed Gein, yes.
Ed Gein's activities, and he, famously decorated his house with robbed body parts from graves and things like that. But not that that's a good thing, but that could be where it's ended. You know what I mean? It's like the line could have been. It doesn't necessarily mean cannibalism, does it? You know what I mean? It's not, you're robbing body parts from graves, so you're also eating them. There's not necessarily a direct link there.
No, but I don't think that would have made for as good of a horrifying premise and story if they were just grave robbers.
Yeah, no, of course.
But the fact that they are grave robbers, but also they are so enamored with human flesh, love to eat it and whatnot, that just cements who they are. Yeah, Ed Gein never killed anyone, did he? I think he
did. I think
one or two.
I think it was only one, maybe two. The majority of his crimes were
Into necrophilia as well.
Yeah, the majority of his crimes was grave robbing and necrophilia. But he did commit at least one murder. I'm trying to think. If I'll just skim the wiki now while we're talking. He definitely killed at least one person, possibly two. But it was kind of like almost by accident, I think, if I remember rightly. Like I don't think he deliberately went out to kill somebody. I think it was like they discovered him doing something else and he killed them, or they were accusing him of something and he killed them. But I mean, who's to say what he would have done, left to his own devices for long enough? But yeah, I think the majority of his crimes were related to grave desecration, grave robbing, and necrophilia rather than murder. Whereas obviously I think we're led to believe more that the Sawyers are heavily on the murder side of things, and the grave robbing is incidental. I think the balance between the two is shifted slightly. I mean, it's all heinous and horrific, whichever way you chop it up. But if you want to do a weighted comparison, then Ed Gein was less about the murder and more about the grave decoration, and the Sawyers are the other way around. Yeah.
Do we need to run through the film?
I mean, we can. Who hasn't seen it though? Like, if you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74, like, just go away and watch it.
Leave. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's a very simple premise. Five young adults. I would say early 20s, mid 20s. Not so much teens.
I think they're a little bit older. It's always difficult to gauge people's ages in sort of 70s and 80s movies, I find.
Making their way through Texas, they stop off at one of the main characters' family residence, which is completely derelict. While they're there, they start to split up, wander down to a swimming hole, which then leads to a mysterious manor, our lovely cannibalistic manor that we've just discussed, the other side of the swimming hole. And as they all start to venture out to swimming hole, they all start to disappear in said mystery house, being picked off one by one by our lovely family, including said hitchhiker, said cook, and Mr. One Leatherface, which then leads and ends up with our lone survivor, Sally, played by wonderful Marilyn Burns. Wonderful, but got absolutely traumatized in this film, who actually survives in the end, the whole trauma of it. It's very blunt.
And the truck driver. The truck driver.
Oh, the truck driver who runs off. Who really should have just driven off in the truck with her.
He should have done. I had to rewatched it again because I was like, I've never paid any attention to what actually happens to the truck driver. So I rewound it and watched it again as he, beans Leatherface in the head with a wrench and then just, sprints off down the road and doesn't stop running.
He's gone.
So Sally's really lucky that other pickup comes along, because otherwise she would have been just left there, unless she could have outrun him, I suppose.
Now, obviously, it was in many different takes, but I've read up a lot of behind the scenes points of this film. Some things I didn't actually know. Whereas when she jumps out the window at the end of the dinner scene, they used sugar glass for the window.
Yeah.
But because of the intense heat that they were filming in, the sugar glass hardened.
It was melting. Oh, it's hardened.
No, it hardened more. So when she jumped out of it, that really damaged her leg. So the limping after that
is real. Okay,
is kind of real. Yeah.
There's a lot of stories about just production difficulties and how much the cast and crew had to endure working in ridiculously hot Texan summer and the real
35-degree heat.
Yeah, the real animal bits and meat and stuff that was on set, just cooking and rotting and. Ugh.
I mean, that dinner scene, they had blackout curtains, stage lights, and it was up to 40 degrees heat. So yeah, everything that was on the dinner table just. The stench.
It must have
smell.
reeked, yeah.
And
which
Gunnar
adds to the authenticity of it all.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. I mean, if you know that fact and then you rewatch it, you'll probably be, your mind will be able to smell that. And Gunnar Hansen having to stay in the suit, the mask, it may as well just been a bodysuit filling up with sweat. It's just gross, absolutely gross.
Almost have absolutely stunk to high heaven. Weren't they sleeping on the set as well?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, it's such an indie rogue film for the most part. What is your favorite part / shot of the film?
I think it's quite a basic take, an obvious pick, but it's not. It's Kirk. It's Kirk getting hammered and then just effortlessly thrown off to one side and the door being slammed across. Because it's...
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that one because that's one specific scene I just wanted to talk about in this whole episode. Yeah.
It's amazing. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Because at this point,
it completely comes out of nowhere.
At this later on, we get more of a look around the house, and we see that rooms are just festooned with bones and body parts and stuff like that. We've not seen any, apart from the grave desecration stuff at the beginning, which we do not know is related to this house directly. There's nothing there. So it's Kirk and Pam go off to the swimming hole, and then they see this other house and hear a generator, and Kirk says, we can get some gas from there, because that basically just to get them back on the road again. And that's the reason why they approach the house. And again, they find a bunch of cars under camo netting, which is not too sinister in of itself, or plenty of old farm properties have probably got a bunch of like vehicles just...
They might collect cars. They might be car
going
enthusiasts.
to rust. Is just exactly. There's just a bunch of vehicles there. There's really nothing apart. They go into this house and it's seemingly it's occupied in that there's a generator running and the garden's clearly like tended. Vegetable patches is like thriving and all of this. But the house is kind of run down, and there's nothing until Leatherface appears. You don't know that it's occupied until he appears, whacks him over the head, and it's just bim bam bosh and door slam and and I think when they show it on TV, it's usually that point that it cuts to an ad break as well. So it's always kind of good that the door slams and it's like, holy shit, and then you've got an advert for TUI or whatever.
Yeah, it kind of leaves you. Wait, come back. What's happened? Because throughout the film, you're kind of the hitchhiker, then the Kirk. You're like, these people don't seem with it. Are they? Are we about to find out that there are antagonists? There are villains of the film. Because you don't even get back to them until much later on in the film. You don't get back to the hitchhiker until we're back at the house later on. The cook when Sally's
everybody's
on the
road. Everybody's separate. Yeah, it's a big twist. You don't find out that they're all
if
related.
You go into it, not seeing this sort of imagery that with Leatherface. If you don't go to see it with any sort of imagery of Leatherface, you get to that scene with Kirk. There's no score. There's no soundtrack. You're kind of with Kirk. You're with him in the house. What is this place? And for me, it's the shot where the camera's at the door, looking down the hallway, stairs on the right, and you've got the doorway where behind it is the wall of animal skulls and taxidermy, much like your one right there, which actually has a red background as well.
It is red, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the fact we have never been introduced to Leatherface at this point.
No.
And it's the introduction. It's such an out there abnormal introduction you would normally get to your killer.
Well, there's nothing, thinking about other, I don't really class Texas Chainsaw as a slasher film, but thinking about other big like franchises, you've got somebody telling the legend of Jason Voorhees and or telling the legend of Freddy Krueger, or you might get scenes of the killers stalking from the shadows, and he's walking around, and you think, oh, he's there. There's nothing. We do not know there's any sort of like.
We don't know he exists.
We don't know it exists. We've met some oddball people. We don't know they're related. We don't know anything. Until he just pops up. And
within 2 to 5 seconds, he is there and gone.
And he's killed somebody. They're gone. They're killed somebody and out of there.
And the fact it doesn't continue, he slams the metal door to be like, no, this is not for you. Mm-hmm. This is not for you to see. You come back later and we'll show you some more. Like, wait, what just happened?
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. You're left without shit. What's just happened?
Yeah.
In a modern film, they'd see the body being dragged off. We'd get an extended, or he's cutting off some limbs, and we'd see it all. Whereas this, it's just, holy shit, that guy just got smacked in the head with a hammer by some beast in a weird mask.
Yeah.
And thrown through there like a rag doll, and bang, that's it, gone. Like, crap.
Excuse me, what? Can we go back to that? I know the next shot of Pam's backside is very nice, but can we? Granted, that was one of my other favorite shots. The low angle shot, not because of her backside.
Yeah, sure.
The shot of her walking up to the house is such an amazing shot.
It is and that's why it's parodied in near enough every subsequent sequel and prequel and remake. They do that shot, but even going on to that scene, and Pam then enters the house, and again, Leatherface just comes out of nowhere, just appears,
opens the shutters, and
goes running after her, and we don't see it from his POV where he's like peeping at her, or counting down 1, 2, 3, boo. It's just like, you think, oh, what? You assume by this point that she's in danger because because of what we've just seen, but it's. Yeah, again, it just still has that, like, it's just a burst of, like, aggression. Just like the door flings open and out he comes running, grabs her, drags her off kicking, and, pops her up on the meat hook. And it's...
Well, I mean, the meat hook, that's probably one of the most famous, I would say, talked about kills. I mean, it's not a kill, but talked about, let's say, attacks from the film that people have the Mandela effect with.
Yeah, there's a massive Mandela effect with it, where everybody swears blind that you see it going in, and
you see nothing in this film.
No, you see nothing.
One of the most violent things is when they cut Sally's finger later on in the film for Grandpa to have a little suckle on. But then when they actually cut her finger, that's another thing that she got completely traumatized with.
Or the bit at the end when Leatherface cuts his own leg. That's probably one of the most graphic bits in the film.
With continuity, where he gets his leg braced in the third film. Mm-hmm. Yep. But yeah, the meat hook it's implied, and that's all it needs, because it is. I mean,
well, yeah, clearly,
how many people know what a meat hook in the back feels like? Probably no one, I would hope and say. But I feel like you can just feel in yourself what it would feel like. And she's also got the emotional trauma of watching her partner in front of her being cut up by a chainsaw wielding monster.
Yeah. I wonder how focused on that you'd be if you had a meat hook in your back, if you were being home.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I agree. Obviously, she's still alive and conscious and would see it. But I mean, how focused on that are you if you've got 9 inches of steel point through your ribcage?
Kirk. I mean, I look really carefully, and this is the sort of film I try to look really carefully with. The meat hook. In fact, no, if we compare it to the remake, the meat hook in Pretty Boy, I can't remember his name. I think you saw the other end sort of push his front of his body muscle tissue out a bit. So you saw the meat hook go in, and it was around his heart area. So I don't know how it missed his heart. This hook was really close to the top of her back.
Yeah.
Similar, quite close to the top of her back, lower of her neck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the lower part of the hook is lower, but the tip went in quite close to the bottom part of her neck.
I feel like it's under a shoulder blade.
Oh, just horrific.
Yeah,
Just
think
move
about
around
it without like just cringing and shuddering. It's awful. It's really
and she
bad.
eventually gets transported moved into the chest freezer, which then leads to Jerry's death when Jerry investigates the house and he gets malleted in the face. But yeah, the bit after she's been put on the meat hook, Pam. That's when we first get the introduction to the chainsaw.
Yes.
Again, he's not killed anyone with the chainsaw.
No. I mean, there's one person.
There is one death with the chainsaw, and that is a superb jump scare.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's not a cheap jump scare.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a jump scare should be done. You're not left lingering with Sally and Franklin for too long in the woods later on in the film. You don't even know Leatherface is going to be out there.
No.
And it's
because
so
at
quick.
that point, all his activities have been confined to the house. We've not seen, and again, we don't see him roaming around looking for victims. It's all very
No, exactly. He's not killer. He's not out there looking to kill.
It's all very, taking advantage of the situation. It's the spider in the spider web waiting for the fly to come to them kind of thing. But even then, it's not implied as it being as malicious as that. It's more just like not sat there like deviously twirling a mustache going, oh, when the kids come in, that's when I'll have them. It's all very incidental.
Because we're told later on by the cook, like, you were meant to be looking after your brother.
Yeah.
So he's clearly there's something wrong with young Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the rest of because they're all brothers. They all really look after Leatherface. He's the simpleton of the family. Mm-hmm. He's one that stays at home, does the cooking. We have the cook put the cooking, but looks after the house and whatnot. Yeah, he's not out specifically looking to kill.
No,
I don't know if the implication is after. So Kirk's been knocked off. Pam's been somewhat knocked off, but chilling. Then Jerry enters the house, ends up in the kitchen, and gets whacked off by Leatherface. But it's that point Leatherface has what?
Gets whacked off by Leatherface.
I was going with the if you a mafia sort of term, they whack.
Yeah, okay.
So what you were thinking? You're disgusting. You're disgusting. You are.
Anyway,
he gets knocked in the head by a large solid object.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much better.
But after this is when we get the sort of shot of Leatherface having a crisis moment.
Yeah.
A sort of worried moment. A really panicky worried moment in himself. He's running to the living room, opens the curtains. Is anyone else out there? Who keeps coming into our house? He sits down, holds his head. I don't know what to do because like he sort of acted irrationally before thinking how to react. The mallet is his go-to. Just get them out. I don't care. Just kill them.
Yeah.
He's not going to reason with these people coming into his house. So I wonder then, does he go out? That's his reason for going out. Thinking, is anyone else out there?
Potentially is his reason for going out. It kind of makes you wonder about their operation generally as well. If we're going to accept that, right, it's a family of cannibals, and they do the extra cars under the camo net, and the amount of body parts and stuff, bones and things litter in the house, and the fact that they cut Sally's finger and let Grandad suck on it, all heavily imply that they're cannibals. They eat people.
Yeah.
So, what is their operation? Like, how do they normally get their victims?
On like another day.
Yeah. Because we're only seeing one incident in time. Like, because the cook, or old man as he's credited, he berates the hitchhiker for messing with the cemeteries for for doing the grave desecration. He's like, you know, where have you been and why have you messing around and da da da. You nearly got yourself caught doing it. And obviously, you know, if they are murdering and butchering people, eating them, and potentially selling the meat to passing tourists as well, which seems counterproductive. If you get a tourist passing by, how do you decide if this is stock or sale?
Oh, they've got a good rump on them. We can deal with that.
Is that what it is?
They're the one. We'll target them. No, you can carry on your journey.
If it's like one person driving a car, do you sell them a burger? But if it's 5 people, you think that's the chest freezer stock for the next couple of months? Like,
that's the winter
there. But yeah, we don't know how they work. I mean, like I say, we've got a suggestion that there's branding. And did the cook see that branding, and then he's like, right, I tell these people there's no gas, so they have to stay, and then we just hope that they wander into the catchment area. It's all a bit vague, isn't it? We don't really know how it works, but in a good way. I'm not saying we need that explanation,
but it leads to an interesting discussion.
That's exactly.
Just imagine how their operation works.
It's interesting to think, how are they doing this normally? There's obviously like neighbours and employees that aren't involved, that they don't touch. I mean, you know, why not eat the car park, the car wash, scream?
Because clearly the events in this film is the end of their operation for some. I mean, the hitchhiker's very much dead.
Well, again, he is very much dead, of course, yeah. But again, it opens up. Like, surely, like, nobody else has ever come close to escaping. How is it that Sally managed to do it? I always think about this when I watch these sorts of films.
Yeah, because she doesn't really put up much of a fight to escape.
Not
the hitchhiker, really. when it was after the dinner scene, they bring Grandpa down. And they're like, Grandpa's the best. Get him to. He can have this one. Mm-hmm. So they bring out the metal bucket.
I mean, massive twist that corpse is
alive.
That old man is still alive, because when she
how's
hides,
that possible?
She hides in that room, doesn't she? And you know, we're presented with this image of, you know, what we think is 2 corpses in a state of different states of decay, and then it transpires that one of them is actually still alive.
Yeah, and that's not a thing that's implied so much. You see movement in this zombie's body. That is a weird thing, because I don't think, how can a human body even look like that and still be alive?
It is.
So when Grandpa's being given the mallet to bludgeon Sally's head, Hitchhiker gets fed up with it taking so long and is kind of like, I'll do it. And he only moves slightly to grab the mallet, and Sally is just instantly then booking it. She pushes the hitchhiker and books it out. And you've got 3 grown-ass men, one that likes to wield a chainsaw, one that beat her up with a broom, but she can just escape. She manages to do it quite freely. What are you talking about? The operation. So this is definitely, I would say, the end of their operation. Let's say operation.
It's
lifestyle.
Yeah, because it's not a business as such. That it's not
trafficking meat.
Sweeney Todd or the whole hostel. I guess that hostel's that's an operation. It is just sort of how they make their way in the world and get by, rather than they've made a decision for whatever the reason, one reason or another, they've decided that they're going to sort of cross the line in the most ultimate the ultimate way and start killing and eating people.
Because then you also got to think about when the fact that Sally does escape, she would then end up with some sort of authority, the police, government agents, whatnot. They would no doubt want to ask, okay, can you take us to this location or just tell us where to go? That might take a long time because of how distraught and all the PTSD she'll have.
Yeah.
But eventually they will end up at that location. But you'd have thought Cook, Gramps, and Leatherface would be gone. And we kind of talked about that with TCM 3, that after this, was Leatherface wheeling, got the leg brace on, was Leatherface wheeling Gramps around trying to find a new family, you know? Because
well, I mean, that is where 2 picks up, isn't it? That is the premise of 2, that they've had to relocate because and we have a government agent trying to track them down.
Yeah.
And is he supposed to be their uncle? Is that the
who?
There's a familial connection, isn't there, between Sally and Franklin and Dennis Hopper's character in 2?
Yes, you're right. I can't remember exactly what it is.
I think he's an uncle.
Or Lefty.
Mm-hmm.
His name. But yeah, they migrate to their little underground amusement park.
It's so ridiculous. Like lonely farmhouse in rural Texas to abandoned theme park. It's like the Joker or something.
Yeah.
From like the cartoon version of Batman.
And we never see what happens to the cook. We never see it. The last parts of this film we see really of the cook is him basically saying he takes no pleasure in killing, doesn't like the killing. Like, he's a cook, he likes to cook. But you see him in the background of the shot of when Leatherface and Hitch are trying to help Grandpa bludgeon Sally. He's back sort of cheering on, like peering through the door.
Yeah, he takes a little bit of pleasure
in a little bit. He doesn't take pleasure in the physical act of himself doing it, in other people doing it. I watched some deleted scenes from this film, which I'd never seen before. And one of them is, once Sally's jumped out, the camera stays in the house. And you've got Leatherface you got the Hitcher running out, but Leatherface then running to the kitchen, grabbing his chainsaw, going, vroom, vroom, and the cook basically saying, "Go get her, get that bitch." And he's in the kitchen. Once Leatherface runs out, he's like, yeah, still cheering on. Yeah, go get him. And that's it. That would be the last part we see of him.
Yeah.
So we have to just imagine what then happens to him next. But again, with part 2, we kind of know now. But again, he becomes more in the public eye in part 2.
He's like in a televised chili cook-off contest that he's winning.
Not worried about it whatsoever.
And it's all like, little do they know where the meat comes from. It's all... Yeah, but I mean, TCM 2 is very cartoonish in a lot of ways.
It is.
Feels like it was an interesting decision to go that way for a follow-up to this, which is, has nothing like that and is quite bleak and depressing tone for the most part, really. I think we talked a bit about Marilyn Burns' sort of trauma on the film, and another thing I watched a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and I started reading the book that came with this, and there's fascinating stories in this book. And I didn't realize as well that along with the heat, her being cut on the finger at the end for Grandpa, her hurting her leg in the window, the cook, Hooper actually encouraged the cook to really give her one with the broom. Yeah. And there's a moment towards the end of the beating where you can really tell the strike that really hits her hard. It may be a sound effect, but I feel like that was the moment where he really went in for himself and did business for himself. This poor woman just got absolutely traumatized in this film. And it's shown at the final clip right at the end, where her hysterical laughter and screaming. There's something about that acting where, you can tell that half of that emotion coming from that scene is Marilyn Burns. And half of it is Sally.
you imagine this nowadays.
No, I mean it. Absolutely.
Can you
won't happen.
imagine this?
No. So the reason for the cut finger is, but there was supposed to be a fake blood squirt thing, but it malfunctioned. So yeah, just in impatience, they just
did it,
which is not a justification for it by any stretch, but that it wasn't the original plan to cut her.
Can you imagine these sort of actions in a modern day?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Unions
be shut down in seconds. That I mean, as probably it should be. But you know, there's
interesting, isn't it?
Maybe not taking physical punishment to quite that extreme, but I think there's a lot to be said for suffering for your art in terms of use of the real offal and the smell it must have generated, and working in such intense heat, and everybody's kind of like. I'm not saying it has to be this way, but you know, people like to method act. There's a various bunch of actors that, you know, whatever their definition of method acting is, sort of fully absorbing themselves in a role. It doesn't always have a good outcome, but you know, it's a technique that has been used. And
I mean, the most recent famous one, maybe Heath Ledger.
It's probably Heath Ledger's Joker.
It's probably the most popular one.
Yeah, it was probably the most popular one because I think Jared Leto's attempt at method acting for the Joker didn't go down quite as well.
Jared Leto's attempt at acting.
Anything. No. No, fair one. So, yeah, you know, the conditions that they were making the film in obviously had an impact on everybody, and but I think really helps to sell, or ultimately help to sell the mood and the tone and yeah, the sense of suffering and things like that. So you know, there's a positive outcome to it, or a positive side to sort of making things difficult, and you know, it'd be the difference in, you know, having an actor pretending to be in cold water, you know, like a Titanic life raft kind of scene out, and the difference between that water being a nice warm bath or actually accurate freezing cold temperatures. You know, you're going to get a different performance, and one of them is just going to be more genuine than the other, just as whoever, you know, whatever the skill level of the actor is. Yeah, I mean, it would never happen these days. There'd be lawsuits involved and all sorts of stuff. And I'm not advocating that directors cause actual physical harm to their actors.
This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't have nice
Nobody's
things.
willing
People want
to just
unions and health and safety.
It's just a little slash. It's just a little.
It's just a little nick here and there.
You'll be fine, and then put it in somebody's mouth. Yeah, absolutely fine. Don't worry about that.
Marilyn Burns. So you're gonna give me a protective like back piece, right, for when the hitchhikers chasing me with the switchblade. The prop. They made a fake switchblade in props,
this is
right?
A prop. Yeah, this is a prop knife, right?
Marilyn, sorry, props?
Prop.
Okay, ready? Right, and go. If you could just really go for that back, just slash it. Let's talk about Mr. One Face, first name Lever.
Yeah. L Face.
One of the deleted scenes again is him in his final outfit, which is the suited and booted with the makeup.
Yeah.
He's going through a pot, like a bucket that's hanging from some string, and he's looking at his different masks with his hair attached.
Yeah, his different
and he's
faces.
going through them, and he's like, no, maybe not this one. Then he picks up a pot of like I don't even know what you call it because I don't use it. Makeup, but it's on like a pad. And you dab it. And you go you put powder.
Oh, like, you know, foundation.
Like a foundation, and he's doing this.
He's
doing that. Then he picks up the lipstick, and he's doing the lips, and you don't see that. I don't know if I would have liked that or not, to see a bit more of him. I think it still adds to the mystery where you see 3 different iterations of Leatherface in this film, his styles, if you will.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have liked to have seen more. I liked seeing the deleted scene now because I've never seen it before, but it being part of the film, I'm glad you don't see too much more of him. Still leaves it as a mystery, like we've said.
Yeah.
I don't want to see his bedroom. I don't want to see where he sleeps. I don't want to see what he has for breakfast. I don't want to see his workout routine. He's just an enigma.
He is an enigma. But I think there is also a kind of... It's kind of disturbing to see this family dynamic.
Yeah.
That and to sort of try and comprehend the fact that, you know, the cook spends his days at that gas station selling his barbecue and you know, pumping gasoline, and then at night goes back to that house. And I suppose it's like modern day, or not modern day, but you know, real life serial killers and things, where, you know, they when they finally get caught and their neighbors are like, oh, you know, he was such a nice man and helped me,
such a lovely child,
move house, and, you know, would always help me with my shopping bags.
Yeah.
And you find out that they were going home at night to, you know, a living room festooned with corpse parts, and were sharing a bed with somebody that they dug up, and horrible things like that. But seeing that, you know, seeing them sit round the dinner table to eat a meal of human meat with somebody that they are physically torturing and plotting to kill is such a like grisly, disturbing image.
Gotcha. Yeah, the thought of it.
And yeah, like seeing Leatherface dressing for dinner and putting his like face on, his
Sunday best on. He's putting his face. Yeah, he's put his face on.
Is very strange. It's very weird.
We sort of go through. Yeah, that we got daytime Leatherface in his sort of work gear. Yeah, it's his at work gear. Very basic looking mask, clearly out of human skin or animal hide. It could be animal hide, but it's probably human skin.
It probably is, but we're not definitely told.
We then quickly we don't get much of it. It's when the cook and the Hitcher and Sally return to the house. He's sort of got I want to say like a early 1900s sort of old lady looking style. He's a lot more hunched. He's got a big grey curly wig on. Mm-hmm. And the mask is a little bit more comical. It's got like a big chin, big puffy cheeks, and his actions are, I don't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually speak. He just sort of mumbles.
Is that the homemaker version?
Yeah. I think it's like maybe like a blue pinny on. And then the third one being his Sunday best with his face slap on face and big puffy hair. So he's got like a various amounts of outfits.
Yeah.
He changes into. I mean, my favorite is the original, the one we first see him in. Mm-hmm. It's so much more grisly. It's so much more one that could fit into the abattoir scene, the meat factory.
Yeah, the dirty pinny, the work, the butcher's costume or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't get much in the way of his lifestyle at all. Really?
No.
Like we like I said earlier, we're told the cook says to the Hitcher, well, you should be looking after your brother. So he's the simpleton that's clearly at home. Probably not let out the house or out the house that much.
It does raise questions about what they're doing on a non-killing day, because they can't be
every day.
They can't be killing people every day. They just can't be, because their land would be littered with far more they'd have far more cars to dispose of. The land would be littered with far more evidence of that. So and also it's implied that it's quite rural and maybe there's not a huge amount of passing traffic. I find it quite notable that a big semi truck and a pickup truck arrive at the same time. That's really, I feel like that's really lucky.
In all right, she should be dead.
Yeah. So there's so it raises questions about what's happening on a quote unquote normal day for the Sawyers. What are they doing when nobody's coming through? There are no potential victims or no or people to sell to even. I suppose it's an interesting thought.
Yeah. I love that you've been saying Sawyers, and that's kind of what I've always known them as, but they're they are simply credited as Leatherface,
Oh,
the
yeah.
cook, and the hitchhiker,
Uh-huh.
and Grandpa. But they're never established as this notorious family. They're just established as these three individual titled people that are related. I mean, when I first watched this, and for a long time, I always thought the cook, and I think a lot of people did, thought the cook was like a dad because he's so much older, and the way he acts like the patriarch of the family. You know, like in control of his little broomstick, telling them what to do, beating them if they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
I always thought he was the dad, but he's not. He's just an older brother.
He's an older brother.
So we've got three brothers just fending for themselves, trying to live out in this busy world, trying to look out for themselves, get food where they can. In some sense, food, but people.
Yeah.
I mean, what if the cook doesn't actually, that the gas station actually never has gas? It's always a thing he says to people. Oh,
yeah,
it'll be down here tomorrow. We're getting a new shipment tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You go down there, and it's somewhat of another way that
that's
kind of implied, similar to the branding of the blood.
That's the thing. Is it branding of the blood? We don't. That's something that people talk about, and because Franklin ponders it in the movie. That it may have been branding.
You think that guy's following us?
It might have nothing to do with it whatsoever. It might just be that he got chucked out. I mean, I always think that they should have chucked the hitchhiker out a lot. Well, I mean, probably not
picked him up
in the first place. But if they did pick him up, I mean, there were a lot more moments where you probably would have gone, you know what, we're going to pull over and you're going to get out of this vehicle before he actually physically attacks somebody. I mean, the fact that he feels the need to show them the knife he's got when he cuts himself as well. It's like,
I love that scene.
I mean, I do like that. Look, we've picked up Dracula. A whole family of Draculas.
Whole family of Dracula. Sally. He looks like James Franco. I always thought that.
Yes.
You never clocked that.
No, I've never, but he does. He absolutely does.
He looks like James Franco.
That is a shout.
And he's got such a weird scar on his face.
I feel it. I think it's a birthmark, isn't it? I feel it's
yeah.
It's meant to be a birthmark. Like a wine stain birthmark, I think they call them.
I love his acting though. He's sort of maniacal.
Very sort of childlike enthusiasm for everything, and like,
what's he carrying on him? Thermite? Is that like he burns the picture with
some like gunpowder? Or
yeah.
And
I mean, in another film, burn. In another film, him taking the picture and burning it would be the like the spiritual reasoning that they're the target. That's it. They've been chosen now. They're the ones. I got a knife. It's a good one.
It's a good knife.
It is actually a good knife. It's better than Franklin's.
Yeah.
Franklin, just a quick one.
It's a nice picture. You give me $2.
Franklin, just a quick one. The invalid brother, as he's known.
Poor thing. Is in the opening credits. Sally and her invalid brother.
He is very frustrating.
He's a complete knobhead.
Sally. All right, I'll go with you, Sally. I'll go with you.
If you ask me on a deeper level, he's an absolute knobhead.
He's a knobhead. Yeah. I mean, for the most part, all the characters, none of them are unlikable. For a sort of horror film like this, apart from Frank is just annoying.
He's annoying.
But it's unfortunate as well because he's in a wheelchair. He's paraplegic. He can't. There's certain things he can't do. If he was not in a wheelchair, then you would be like, get rid of Franklin, please. But he can't help it. But he's very annoying.
He's very hot as well, and I get cranky when I'm hot. So I'll give him a pass for that. Because he does get very frustrated at the heat.
Well, remember when I asked you at the end of the remake episode we did you feel really hot and sweaty and bothered after watching that film? Because you get that impression with this film that it's just horrible. It's sticky, it's humid, it's sweaty.
Everybody looks really sweaty.
They're wearing jeans, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just, horrible feeling. Franklin gets it the worst, in my opinion. Because, the others, no one gets it good. Obviously, Pam gets kind of, in theory, tortured, but not tortured because she's put on the hook. And then we don't see it, but put in the chest. And then we don't really see what happens to her. It's just put back in and then eventually killed. Kirk and Jerry get Malatir whacked in the head, whacked off. But Franklin, right in the gut. And then again, I think, about 3 times. And when I watched that scene, you over there, when you brought up the thing about the chainsaw in the last episode about ripcord, about the ripcord, how normally you wouldn't get it on the first shot, really. And Leatherface does in the kitchen. He gets it on the first shot.
Yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't. There's one scene where he does get it on the first shot. Franklin and Sally are sneaking around the woods trying to look for everyone. And then Franklin's like, "Wait, Sally, I think I hear something." Turn to the right. And that's where we get the amazing jump scare. We suddenly get... Did he have it revved? He didn't have it revved up.
We don't know. We don't get the sound of the chainsaw until he appears in the flashlight. Yeah.
He must have been so quick to go.
Yeah.
Ripcord, pull, and then hold the chainsaw.
Yeah. He's a professional.
If he messed that ripcord up, he'd be like, "Oh, shit, just hang on a minute. Just
wait,
hang on.
Wait, I've got it. Yeah.
I can do this. I can get this."
Oh shit, it's flooded and he's taking it apart to burn some of the petrol off.
Can we just come back to this in a minute? I remember that chase scene going on for a lot longer. And I think a lot of people have that complaint about this film, that, it's just running around the woods, chasing Sally. But I think you split it up quite nicely by going to the house, then back to the woods, then to the gas station. That is a key feature, I think, with this film that I believe a modern audience, now let's say modern audience, I mean a younger audience getting into horror, let's say late teens, early 20s, getting into horror, want to check out classics, will not enjoy this film.
No.
Unless they are film students who are so into horror, want to embrace everything about it, or just want to watch it for the sake of it. I think this is slow. It's too slow for a now modern audience because
it's too slow. I don't think it's gory enough. I think people need that more overt.
Because of how warped their ADHD brains are and how there's not enough happening over every 5 minutes.
Yeah. On the subject of films and not liking them, somebody I made a comment on. So there's a Facebook group I'm in for folk horror movies.
Yes.
And it's meant to be a discussion group, but more often than not, it's people just posting any old film and going, "Is this folk horror?" And then 30 comments of people going, "No." And somebody had posted Bone Tomahawk. And
how's that?
I don't know. There's potentially some folklore in there and stuff. I don't know. I don't personally class it as being folk horror, but whatever.
No.
My issue with that film is just I don't think it's very good. I think it's quite boring.
It's played up on that kill.
Yes, it is. And I made a comment to that effect, and it was it's not folk horror for me, but I generally don't understand the hype for this movie. Yada yada yada. There's a lot of walking. It's kind of slow, and then there's a gory kill at the end, and it finishes each their own, but not for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of people have made comments agreeing with me, and then somebody has commented saying, suggesting that maybe Marvel is more my speed. And I asked, why does Marvel make less boring horror movies? Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say there.
I am going to come across now on that point as one of those people, not those people, these other people, and say that, I love the Infinity Saga, if you will. I like the Thanos story. I've got many comics about it. But I believe what Marvel has done to cinema, especially to a younger audience, has fried their brains
Mhm.
on what film should be.
Yeah.
These multi-$100 million films that should always rake in billions of dollars. Whereas that only really works for Marvel. Any other film dies a death if it tries that.
I think he was trying to suggest that I wasn't maybe switched on enough to appreciate the subtleties of Bone Tomahawk, and perhaps a Marvel generic popcorn movie would have been more my speed. And I was just like, look, there's nothing to it other than I just thought it was really fucking dull. You clearly like it, so now you're being all precious and defensive about that thing, what you like, what I don't. Like, grow up, mate.
Yeah, those sort of opinions / petty arguments I don't bother with, because I feel like I've learned over time, especially with doing this, talking about horror on a near weekly basis for nearly 3 years. You start to mellow out and calm down and realize that horror is the most subjective film genre.
Oh yeah, hugely. Yeah.
The lists we went through at the beginning, they're all wrong, but there is no right.
All right at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no right list.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through TikToks and horror TikTok is awful.
Yes.
Agreed. Someone stating this is the most disturbing film I've ever seen. So there'll be a comment going, wasn't that disturbing? What are you on about? Well, it was to me. And that's as simple as it is. This is my favorite horror film of all time. I believe this is the most perfect horror film of all time. You like The Wicker Man. You're not going to sit here, you better not sit here, and I'm not going to sit here and go, no, you're wrong. I'm right.
Yeah.
This is it. It's because there are so many subgenres as well with horror. There's not really that many subgenres of comedy. There's subgenres of every genre, but there's not as many as horror. And you can't really pick and choose a top list. You can pick and choose, I feel like, from the film's production quality and everything, every aspect that comes along with it. The acting, the effects, the gore, the horror, loads of aspects of a film. So some of the greatest horror films of all time being this, The Wicker Man, The Exorcist, Halloween, The Thing, The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, they all fall in line. But it's near enough impossible to categorize, to label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think I said this when we did the top fives. I was like, it changes on a daily basis. Ask me next week, and I'll give you I can give you a different order every day. I could probably give you a different order if you ask me an hour later. I'd probably say something else, because something else would occur to me. Or a lot of it depends on mood. Some days I'm really in the mood for watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Some days I'm really in the mood for watching The Wicker Man. It all depends. I mean, on the whole, if I've got to put something in the top spot, then I'm probably picking The Wicker Man. But that's not to say that I couldn't watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre every day of the week and not get bored with it, and don't appreciate that as a great movie. I do. I think it's very subjective.
Completely.
But it made me laugh. I'm waiting for this person to get back, because I kind of want to just call them an idiot.
Yeah. No, people like that will never differ on their opinion.
No,
they'll be so stubborn to stick with it. I mean, like I said, we could go on and on and on regarding this film, because we both cherish it that much.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, like I said, we didn't take any notes because we just wanted to enjoy it. The last time I actually watched this film, I went to the Prince Charles Cinema in London. I watched the 35mm version of it. And that was really cool to be able to say, see, I've watched this as it's intended in the theatre. That was a really nice thing to be able to have done. Like a bucket list tick off.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that with Halloween and The Thing before, where they've re-released it.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not recommend it?
It's one of them. It's you have to, and you can film
history.
Well, that's it. You can sit here. I think you've got to be that person. You've got to go down that road of know where it came from, sort of thing. Like, this is one of the granddad movies that needs to be watched. It's
studied as well.
Yeah, it's a Mount Rushmore of horror. I mean, that's the thing as well. It's not just a good horror movie. It's a good movie.
That's definitely
It's well shot. The script is, the pacing's good. The script is great. It's like, it is everything that you you want in a good movie is in this. It just so happens to be a horror movie. And I don't think there are many horror movies that are also good movies in that same way, or at least or would be, worthy of being discussed in, proper academic film discussion settings and stuff like that. Given the same sort of attention and weight to this as you might do to something like, I don't know, Citizen Kane or one of those other sort of big famous movies that people like to discuss the symbolism of and such. The Shining, I feel, is another one that probably crosses, but that does that straddling of the same thing as well.
Definitely,
it's because it's Kubrick. I mean, it's probably got a lot to do with it, but yeah, you've got to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You just do, because I also think there's probably a lot about it that a lot of people's knowledge of it, or they're probably expecting something that isn't true.
Yeah.
Like, they're expecting a 90-minute chainsaw bloodbath, and it isn't that. And yeah, I think everybody should watch it so they actually do know what the movie is, and they're not just relying on what the title might suggest, or what other people. Oh, you see this meat-hook going in. Well, you don't, but I think you need to watch that scene and appreciate how that Mandela effect came into being. And
I don't want to be that guy or that person, but it's deeper than just a chainsaw massacre.
It's deeper.
It is.
I do think it is. I think there is a lot to discuss. There's a lot of interesting behind the scenes stuff that went on with, like, well, we've talked about with the difficulties in production and the conditions that they filmed in, and I don't. There aren't many other films where I really care about stuff like that. I don't care about how they made Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't give a crap about that. But this has an interesting story about how it got made. I think the inspiration for it is interesting. It's, I think kind of deceptive. People quite often just lump it in with your Friday the 13th and your I say the Halloweens, but more the later sequels rather than the original, because I think the original is kind of a standalone gem. But everybody wants or discusses this in the same breath as being a chainsaw. I mean, to the point where things get conflated. Is that the right word? How often do we see depictions of a Jason Voorhees hockey mask wearing figure with a chainsaw? The two,
and it never happens.
That's definitely a crossover between the Texas Chainsaw, what people think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is, which is fair given the title, and other known slasher properties like Friday the 13th. It's but this is not that. And if you think that that's what it is, then you definitely should watch it and realize that it's a different thing.
I feel like you take the word massacre, it implies plural. It implies multiple kills.
Oh, I mean, that's definitely what it means.
Yeah.
And
doesn't happen.
And kills in the. I mean, well, it's a massacre. I think, what is the definition of a massacre? I'm going to look it up.
Look at you.
But I think it's multiple people in a setting in one period, one time period. So it's indiscriminate and brutal slaughter of many people. Deliberately and brutally kill many people. So I guess you could argue the semantics of what constitutes many, but 5 people get killed in this film? Or 4 people? Franklin and the 4th. It's 5, Sally gets away.
Yeah, no one other than our main group gets killed. There's no, like, say, a modern horror film. Or, let's take Crazy Ralph. He's not part of our main campers in the Friday, but he gets offed. So there's some side people that get off. It's just them. I we're wrapping this up.
So it constitutes a massacre, but the chainsaw part is very minimal.
It's very minimal.
In fact, only one of the kills is with the chainsaw. So that's I don't know what the percentage of kills is, but I don't think it's not a Texas. It's more a hammer-based massacre, I think.
It is. Yeah. The Texas Mallet Massacre.
The Texas Mallet Massacre is what it should be called.
So on IMDb, it's got a 7 point. I just had it. It's like a 7.5 out of 10. And I'm
Yeah,
now on the
7.4.
I'm on the user reviews, and for the most part, they're all good. There's one that's 6 out of 10, and the last part of it, I have infinite respect for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it is a cheesy, low-budget film that director Toby Hooper had to struggle to make. Yes. Well done.
I don't think it's cheesy though.
No, but the low-budget part. I
No,
agree
it's,
with you.
yeah, sure.
No, it's not cheesy at all.
No arguments there, but I don't think
It's set in the
cheesy.
70s. It's like...
I mean, unless that's just what they're thinking is like it because it's retro, it's cheesy. But I don't think it's particularly, certainly not compared to the second one.
No. What I don't like is the way the plot pans out. It's far too simplistic. What do you want?
But
Like,
there's nothing
what's
wrong,
wrong with that?
Surely.
The people who are killed die too soon in the film. And it all happens too fast. The last half hour or so of the movie is the last survivor screaming non-stop, and it gets annoying.
So hang on, the most people were killed too soon in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which they're not. It's about 25 minutes in before Kirk.
Yeah.
And it's only 86 minutes long. I also don't like how certain scenes are so dark you can't even see them. Has this person been out at night? It's quite hard to see.
Yeah.
This
Lights
may
are
have been
expensive.
done. Lights are expensive.
Lights are expensive.
And I'll always go back to My Bloody Valentine, where you can see every leaf on that tree.
Mhm.
This may have been done for effect, but it only ruined the experience for me. Ruined the experience for me.
mean,
Obviously, the acting isn't even close to good. But what you can expect from a low-budget 70s horror. Overall, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an okay movie to watch and it deserves respect, but I just don't think it's the cinematic masterpiece everyone says it is.
I mean, I
27
disagree with that, and I don't want to be. I'm not trying to be precious about it, but I think that's just quite an ignorant opinion. To be honest, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but that one is wrong. I think, I don't know. I don't know what they want. Maybe they should check out Marvel.
Well, to be fair, this person has a review on Spider-Man 3 saying an amazing end to the trilogy.
All right.
How can we take this person's...
Leave it at that. Say no more, fam. Jesus
Say no more.
wept.
So, yeah, like that kind of comes full circle to what I said, that I feel this film isn't for everyone, but the people it's not for, and I'm going to say it, maybe don't get it.
Don't get it. Yeah. I think that's what it is. I think that's fair. I think that is a fair assessment. You've got to maybe be that little bit more of a student. Not even a student of film. It's not even about that. It's just about
clued in to understanding the
being
film,
willing to, just being willing to accept that gore in your face for 90 minutes does not make a great horror film. It really doesn't. Like, you need more than again, talking about that Bone Tomahawk, and the people that were agreeing with my comment were saying, you can't build a good movie just on one scene. It doesn't work. This has a lot going for it across the board in terms of filmmaking and the pacing and the way it's shot, and the tone and the feel of it. I'd take out the cannibal family and the Leatherface and put in a few tourist trap hotspot. I'd watch this as a road movie of just a bunch of teens in the 70s in a van traveling across
completely.
Texas. You know what I mean? I'd if it was shot in the same way, I'd watch them go and visit a bunch of gas stations and eat barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
You know
I love
what I mean?
the setting. The whole setting in general is great.
It looks good. It looks real. Like you say, like you've often said about having this documentary feel to it. It does feel very much like we are seeing this. Yeah, it's people on a road trip, and it's filmed by somebody sat in the van with a handycam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could reskin this as a found footage movie to some extent in that regard. It feels like I mean, it's not exactly shot that way, but it does have that sort of
especially in the van. It feels
comfortable.
very yeah. What do you think? Would we leave it there?
I think we could leave it there. Yeah, I think we've sold it to people. I think we've given our honest reviews. I don't think we needed to do a blow by blow account for this.
Oh God, no.
It's not, you know.
I love this film so much. It's so perfect.
It is great. It is great. And if you're gonna, like I say, if you're gonna mess with the rest of the franchise, then you absolutely owe it to yourself to watch this. If your only other experience of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the later remake, while being a very good film, you absolutely owe it to yourself to watch the original. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre '74, one of the greatest of all time.
A quick look in this. We've got everything we need. We've got the body, we got the yellow saw, we got the meat hook, we got the mallet, we've got sort of homemaker face. We've also got a knife and a
cleaver.
Hatchet. Yeah,
I think it's just generic butcher stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever see him use them, but
yeah. Happy birthday. That is it. I mean, came out a couple of weeks ago, 50 years ago. But happy birthday, 50 years of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That is our month concluded. 4 films from the franchise. Yeah. Speaking of, oh wait, what's coming in? What's this?
it's a sexy anime Leatherface statue.
I'll save that for tonight. Thank you.
There's 2 different ones, by the way.
Don't look at it now. Yeah, so as we alluded to earlier on, we have 4 episodes left of the year. We're gonna go out with a bang the rest of the year for Mr. One Aidan Half Troll's departure from the show. The show will continue next year, like I told you all.
Yeah,
just bear with us. It's all good. But yeah, we'll I will put up the schedule of what is to come on all the socials where you can find this on Instagram, Twitter /X, TikTok. So put all the schedules up on there. Oh, along with YouTube. So follow us on the YouTube, The Dreadcast, and Spotify, Apple, all the major audio streaming platforms. So the schedule will be up there, and all past content, all that jazz. Yeah, just follow us on everything. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to point on.
I got nothing.
No. Until next time's mystery film, because I don't even know what it is yet.
No.
So we'll find out.
A little chat about that.
We'll have a little chat about that now. Yeah. Well, until next time, folks.
Bye.
There it is.